Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lava Lava. I am your host, Johnny. I have with me today Michael, Milford, Fatu, and JP. So today we were just going to be carrying off of our last episode where we talked about am I Samoan enough? And the topic was the language. Am I Samoan enough because I don't speak Samoan? Today we're going to be talking about tattoos. Primarily, am I Samoan enough to get certain tattoos? Now, I know the big hot topic is Samoans. We as a people are known for the tatau and the malu for the males and the females. And there's a rising trend when we're starting to see a lot of Polynesians, a lot of Samoans getting their tatau and getting the malu without understanding the significance behind it. And yet, is that acceptable? Is it acceptable if they become famous and popular and really push the culture in that avenue and bring awareness to us as a people? So does it become acceptable then? And there's other instances where just regular vanity tattoos where we get the sleeve or the chest tattoo with the Polynesian pattern, with the Samoan patterns on there. Say it's a couple, a Balagi man or a Caucasian male married to a Samoan lady, and she wanted her husband to have a little kaurima or an armband. Is that acceptable? So I'm gonna kick it off to my cohorts. If anybody want to chime in on their thoughts and opinions.
I'm not against anyone getting tattoos on their arms or a taulima or on their legs, but what I am against is people getting the traditional malu and songai michi, right? In everything we do, there are circumstances that people get the traditional, and from the history of Samoa, you don't have to be Samoan to get a malu or songai michi. It's pretty much based on the approval of someone with authority or by the approval of a village or a huge group of people. Because nowadays, when we see a white person get a tattoo, it's all arrogance. No, ignorance. We do not know why that person got the tattoo. We just jump to conclusions and attack that person, attack his character, attack basically anything that anyone can think of. And we don't know the circumstances why that person who is not Samoan even got traditional tattoos. So if you're getting like an arm, shoulder, chest tattoos, I'm not against that for non-Samoans, because I know I have tattoos. I have a half sleeve and a chest, and I'm pretty sure if Samoans see this, they will start judging me because I do not look Samoan. I look Asian. So I don't care what people think. It's my identity. I am Samoan and Chinese. I can be both races, and I don't give a damn what other people say. Like I said in the first episode, it's based on your self-identity and what makes you happy.
Okay. I like that because the argument of you are a product of your own happiness. You don't need other people to make you happy. And if you do, then there's underlying issues involved with that per se. Now, as far as, yes, I think a lot of us are of the same opinion when it comes to the malu and the tatau and the pe'a. It's just, it's the significance behind it, the ceremonial value that comes with that, and the responsibilities and chores that come with being a songai michi or having the malu. It's if you don't understand the culture, you don't understand the reason and of why they have it and who is allowed to wear it, and then even by proxy of how it's done. If it was done properly with the tap method instead of a machine. So, do any of you else have any other opinions based on other races incorporating our patterns or our Because I know there's a lot of like the triangle pattern is pretty. It's pretty fluid amongst most of the Polynesian islands. Tonga has the same patterns. Fiji has some of the same patterns. Hawaii has some of the same patterns from their histories as well. Because, in essence, we are all basically, all of Polynesia is a mesh of the same people, just spread out throughout the Polynesian region. But do you guys believe that there's Afkasis out there that, for example, I know the Maori community have a lot of instances where people are upset for people getting the face tattoo, the thing with I don't know what it's called. I'm not Maori, but, other people are just getting it to get it. They don't understand their own culture. And some people were getting offended over it. And it turned a big deal, big thing. And I know us Samoans, we like to hold some of our patterns and stuff sacred. So when it's used by other races or other people or other ethnicities as a vanity piece, do you guys approve of that or no?
So when it comes to tattoos, people getting like the same patterns as ours, I'm pretty cool with it. Just like what Tan said. As long as not the traditional tattoo, I don't really mind it. I don't get offended easily by it because I don't have a pi'a. And I don't want to say I'm culturally involved, but I'm kind of not. When I see somebody out with the like the sleeve and stuff like that, I automatically assume that's because they either grew up with a bunch of Samoans, bunch of Islanders, they ran with a bunch of Islanders, or they're married to one. I honestly don't know their story. I think it's kind of cool whenever I see people wearing our patterns and stuff like that, because essentially it comes back to us, so they're representing us. I feel like they have that right too. If they're married, if they marry Samoan, because there's a saying when you marry Samoan, you marry the whole family. So I feel like you don't have to be Samoa to get the sungai miki or malu. Once you marry into that family and you get that family's approval, I don't feel like you need the approval from like the higher ups. I just feel like once you're accepted into that family and you get the approval from the actual family you're married to, I feel like it's you could get it at that point. Because when you marry into a family, when you marry a Samoan, you marry into a family. Because now, not only you're married to a Samoan, but like you're helping out with the Favlaves. We have no issue taking money from our non-Samoan spouses, right? And within the family and stuff. So why not give them an opportunity? If they're much more Samoan than a lot of the Samoans, some of the Samoans aren't even contributing, helping out with the Favlaves and stuff like that. So if you got a non-Samoan married to the family and he's doing everything, helping out with the Favlaves, Kaukua when it comes to like the Favlaves and stuff like that, why not, let him get the sungai miki, and I'm all for it. Like I said, unless it's all for show, and that's been the trend lately, is where you see all these young Samoans getting the sungai miki and then getting the malu, posting it all over social media. It's pretty awesome, But then again, it's just like, do you know the story behind it? Have you done the work? Have you put in the work to earn a tattoo? But then it also falls on the like the tattooist, because at the end of the day, they're the ones allowing these young kids to get the tattoos and stuff, and we might not know what's going on. It could be financially motivated. A lot of these tattoo art or tattooists, they might be out there handing out tattoos because they need the money. So like we don't really know what the backstory to a non-Samoan getting tattoos, So it could be.
Yeah, and you're right. It could be anything.
Yeah, honestly.
It comes down to the age-old argument of mind your business, right?
Yeah, and Johnny, could you give our listeners a little bit more context on that white woman that Malietoa bestowed the malu on?
Yeah, so in Western Samoa's history, there was I think she was either European or something, but she was Caucasian. There was a Palagi lady. She ended up living in Samoa. She was married. I believe she was married to a Samoan, but she lived in Samoa, and she contributed a lot throughout the years, like 40 years of service to the island. teaching, and all this stuff. Basically, it's contribution. Her contribution was really significant, and so much so that Malietoa at the time granted her the malu, and she was tattooed the malu, and she eventually moved back to the States, but she wore the malu, and it was it was like one of those instances where it does happen. It can happen, and to have somebody high enough to just bestow it to where everybody recognized it. And so, I mean, it's ultimately what it comes down to, because there are certain times where people would, like Samoans that are Somaimitis that they went and got their pe'a, or they went and got or women that went and got the malu, but don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to do the fe'aus. They don't know how to do a taualunga. The females don't know how to do a taualunga. The men don't know how to speak that. I mean, I always called it high speech Samoan, because there was slang that the common tongue, and then there was the orators. The way that they tie those Samoan words together was it's poetic. And so if you didn't know how to do any of that, and yet you were Somaimiti, I know JP said, kamu walukufa kaito pe'a. And saying is just know how to speak before you become a Somaimiti. And so there are a lot of people that don't know that and get these tattoos. So when you see the men with the leg tattoos, that's their pe'a. And when they receive the pe'a, they're known as Somaimiti. That's the term they're called, as one who holds the pe'a. And then the same thing, the malu is what the women get on their legs. And it's a series of patterns that run straight down, and it's only in the thigh region. And so for the women, it was, from what I understand, and this is how it was explained to me, was the malu was always reserved for the tatau, and the tatau was always the high chief's daughter. So basically, essentially, it was there was only one chief, the village chief or the family chief. It was his oldest daughter. She was considered the tatau, and she was the one that got the malu. I know now in current times, a lot of women get that represent their family as the tatous get the malu. And so with the context now that we understand, what do you think about them wearing it openly? I know there's pride, but now from what I start to see now, there's a lot of women that get the malu, and there's a lot of men that are Somaimiti. And then you see them at the club, drunk, trashy, with the pe'a. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like if you've earned that right to wear the pe'a, and that's totally fine, man. I know people might see it as trashy, but they're just out there. It's different when it's all positive. When we're out there partying, stuff like that, people, they're always showing out the pe'a and stuff like that. Nobody complains about that. But once it involves something negative, if something happens, they get in a fight, then people start complaining. Then they'll start bringing up the pe'a, oh, that's a shame, But like I said, whenever we have big parties and gatherings, it could be in a bar, clubs, they'll be out there showing their pe'a and stuff like that. Nobody budges an eye, unless something bad happens. That's when everybody starts attacking the pe'a. They start commenting on the culture and stuff like that. Like I said, if you don't know the meaning behind the pe'a and you haven't put the work in, like the favlaves, help on stuff like that, then you shouldn't wear it. Like, period. When it comes to Somaimiki and malu, if you're just doing it because you think it's super cool, hey, that's on you, But just my opinion is, if you haven't done like what you're supposed to do as a aumanga, and then like the workers and stuff like that, you haven't put in the work, then you should know better. And if nobody told you, or then that's pretty sad. But if you're one of those folks that got the tattoo just to show it off, and you didn't really put the work in, and you're out there doing trashy stuff. Now it's different if you're out there doing really, really bad stuff. If you're just out there causing trouble, bringing the people down, like the culture and stuff like that. And you could easily tell who's never done a saka, who's never done a umu. who's never kaukua, who's never done a favlavi. You could easily tell those type of people, and it's pretty sad, but I guess that's what the young Samoan generation considers pretty cool. And these non-Samoans, they don't see that. They just see the pita and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You get praise from everybody else, and I think that's why the young generation, that's why they're all getting the pita, is because of that attention. Because the Sungai Miki and the Malu is such a sacred piece of our culture. Having these young individuals wear it, and to these non-Samoans, it brings a lot of attention to, and that's what they feed off of. It's all this attention from all these people who don't know the culture.
Yeah,
And it's wrong.
and I think if Samoans are worried about openly showing the malu or sungai miti, why have I not heard of any standards set, like rules? Because all we hear is vague interpretations like faloalo and all that stuff. But why not come up with actual standards of getting a songai miti and a malu so that people can abide to, right? And the other thing, I think for non-Samoans, there should be an exception. Like you mentioned before, Johnny, contribution, servitude. Those are some good exceptions in getting the malu or the songai miti, because you are representing the Samoan culture and you are keeping the tradition alive.
Okay, I like that. So what do you guys think about auxiliary contribution as well? I'll give you some context. So so if my first cousin, right, I have a first cousin who's really famous. His name's Troy Polamalu. So if he went and if he became Sohai Miti, right, got the pe'a, got the tatau, for me, I think it'd be for it because of his contribution to American Samoa. Not only has he brought attention to us as a phenomenal sports athlete, but it was his off the field stuff where he came back to Samoa. He started programs for the youth. He donated millions of dollars in equipment with his fellow players. They brought down a whole bunch, and he started those camps that I'm pretty sure you guys are very familiar with. And he was always about the culture and brought light, stuff like that. Same thing for my older brother, Ma'a Seuli. So them, for those of you who don't know, The Rock has a title. He's a Matai, and his Matai title is Seuli. So yeah, he's part of the family. Anyways, so if Troy got the I wouldn't mind because of his contribution to it. Yes, he's not very well versed in the language, and he's not very well versed in basically high speech Samoan. But if you ask who's done a lot for the community, his name pops up. So I mean, if he was a candidate for the pe'a, I'd be for it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm not gonna question that. Yeah, he's put in a lot of work, like I said before, and that's just on a big level when it comes to who we're talking about. That's Troy Polamalu, man, and then the stuff he's done for the island. The camps he's held, brought the NFL players, like the equipment, stuff like that. That's pretty awesome. Big contribution to all the young Samoans that were dreaming of making it in the NFL and stuff like that. But what I was talking about earlier, it's on a smaller scale. Let's just say a non-Samoan marrying into a Samoan family. They have no issues bleeding him dry of money when it comes to Favlavi. And we all know that Jamal from down 85th block marrying to a Samoan family, they have no issues taking his money and for all sorts of Favlavis and stuff like that. So like those small guys, like I feel like at a certain point deserve to get the malu with the approval from the family. It's similar to that whole Troy Polamalu scenario, but just on a smaller scale.
Yeah,
and that's not what people will probably talk about. People will have no issue if it's a celebrity. The Rock, nobody's gonna budge an eye, man. Troy Polamalu, NFL players, name it. Um, could be Samoans that never grew up on the island, never did a umu, never did a saka. But if they're celebrities, nobody's gonna care. I was more so talking about like the ones that aren't celebrities, the ones with not a lot of money, the ones that are fayavas to the Samoa family that never grew up in Samoa, don't know the culture, but they have to contribute. They have to help out. They gotta throw on the EA, wear however they wear it, and get out there and do fails, learn on the spot. Those guys, if you put in the time, you put in the work, I feel like at some point with the family's approval, might even get the family title, get the Sungai Miki.
So yeah, I mean, there are instances too, micro instances like that where I know of one where in Manua there was a kid. He was adopted, and he was a Balinese kid, and he was adopted into the family, was accepted in the family, grew up. I know this because he actually went after for the title of my own family, and he won one of them. And it was just because he lived in Manua. He did the work. He did the effort. He started a business. He donated money, helped build up the village. He was always involved in all the lavas around the village, stuff like that. He put in the time, put in the work, got the title. And I don't know if he ended up getting the bell, but like if someone like him got the bell, it would be, I wouldn't bat an eyelash, because what it comes down to is, even though he didn't have anything in him that's Samoan, it was mostly the time put in. It was the effort. It was understanding of the culture, the appreciation of the culture, and eventually, that's all what it comes down to: showing the proper respects, understanding why, the purpose of what it's there for, and then being able to follow through with it instead of just getting it willy-nilly because everybody's got it, not understanding the story behind it. Because so-and-so was stationed with you. I know a lot of our military members were getting them from like the Toa Samoa. There were some guys that, wear Swaimiti, and then they get up, they're really high in rank, and they're leading PT, and they're in their little short shorts, and then other people see that, and they idolize that man because he was a great leader or such and such, and then they want to try to copy, stuff like that. So there's always going to be pushback of whether Samoan enough, but I believe that if you have the approval of a specific of your direct line, it doesn't have to be Mariato, it doesn't have to be Manga or the Mangeos or anybody else, any of those big title names who for those Matais. It doesn't have to be any of them. All it has to do is have just a knowledge of the culture, understanding of what it stands for, and to show it proper respect.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with getting those tattoos as long as you make the effort. And I say this word effort because it's very important. The effort to learn the culture, right? To serve the Samoan people. Your contributions matter, right? And yeah, those are basically the important things, is that you try to represent Samoa as a whole, and you're keeping the Samoan tradition alive for others to see.
Thank you. Any other closing remarks or any other topics anybody wants to add before we finish this out?
I got one. What's y'all there? I remember the saying from one of the old men from back in Samoa. He said, back in the day, people that got the like saying like gotta learn how to speak before you get the tattoo. But then he follow up by saying, but nowadays people that get the is because of pride in their culture. It's not because they don't like it's not because they didn't have the time to learn how to speak. They got the tattoo nowadays is because of the pride in their culture. So the tattoos nowadays are mostly because people have a lot of pride in being Samoan. It's not because it's because their family has a title or it's in their line to get one, but it's because of pride. So like that's why when you guys were talking and like I kind of felt like what that old man said back in the day was true. Us back in the day, You have to learn the culture before you can get the belt. But nowadays, if you have that much pride in being Samoan, get it. Show the world you're Samoan.
I like that.
And pride is very important in everything we do, and it goes back to self cultural identity. The reason why we want to identify with a group of people is because we want to be prideful of who we are, right? And yeah, I do agree with Fatu on the pride matter, and pride is everything. That is one of the reasons why I got my tattoos, is because I'm proud to be Samoan, and I want to show everyone around me that I'm Samoan.
Yeah, I just have to disagree there with the whole pride thing, man. You can show pride by getting sleeves, like
Yeah, I was gonna come in with that
like
too.
that. Yeah, I was just saying the Songai Miki and Malu is such a sacred piece. There's no point in getting it if you don't understand the culture. Like, I grew up in Samoa. I've done my work. I put in the work. I've done five lavis and stuff like that. I don't get it. And then you have Smith from down the road, never done the Saka or Umu, get the tattoo because, I want to show pride. It's like, I'm Samoa, but you could be Samoa in other ways too. Like I say, you get a sleeve, you get a kaulima, just not the Songai Miki or Malu.
Well, she's Samoa Mau.
Yeah, you get Samoa tattoo on your lower back, or your stomach and stuff like that. So I just want to disagree with that whole part. I know pride's a big thing, but I think it's because we tend to do more stuff that are very unpopular because it draws in a lot of attention. So because it's such a sacred piece, all these youngsters think it's super cool to get the Songai Miki
willy-nilly and stuff, huh?
Yeah, because now it comes off as like, damn, I'm this badass, with this Songai Miki, I'm repping Samoa, I do whatever the F I want, like Samoan pride. But like I said, you don't have to show pride through getting a tattoo, especially if you don't understand it. It's just dumb.
One thing for the future, I guess, everyone here can contribute to, or others to bring up, is to emphasize the sanctity of the matter, and to further demonstrate why these are so sacred and why we shouldn't just commercialize certain things. I mean, really, what it boils down to is to each his own. At the end of the day, like, what are you going to do if someone does something you don't agree with, whether it aligns culturally or not? And the question from there be, it should bring forth action if we really want to keep things sacred. But how do we emphasize and how do we magnify upholding that sacredness and those aspects of our culture?
Yeah, I like all that. So I'm just going to piggyback off of that too. I think we have to draw a line somewhere. It's all the culture slowly evolves over time as becomes what's generally accepted by everyone else. But there are certain traditions that we've started, that's got hundreds of years of history behind it. And we have to draw the line somewhere, because if not, then everything else is free game. So I would disagree with just those two specific pieces, the Pe'a and the Malu, that not everybody should be getting it willy-nilly. I mean, if you want to show pride, show pride. And if you're Samoan and you went and got it, all what's really going to come down to is just somebody behind you is going to say, you don't know what to do with it. Why did you even get it? You don't know what that means. For letting it become commercial, just giving it out. No, we have to draw a line somewhere. There's clear borders. And I like what Mike was saying, because a lot of our traditions in our culture is passed down, through families and through gatherings. There's no, there are instances where people have attempted to write down this exact procedures for Fatlav Laves, and you can see it on their Wikipedia pages. When somebody has tried to explain Fatlav Lave, it's kind of funny because there's not really a right or wrong consensus of how to do it, but there is a format that they kind of, and I say this loosely, follow. And so with Michael saying that we need to just, come down with a specific set of borderline rules that are accepted by everyone for why you get it, the how, and what, because when you become Samoan Miti and have the malu, you kind of held to a higher standard as far as the culture is concerned. You're not just a regular Samoan anymore. You're a Samoan Miti. You're a taupo. You could be the taupo.